Welcome back. This is I'm Right with Jesse Kelly, and I'd like to invite in Jesse Kelly, since theoretically it is his show. Jesse, why don't you join me for a second? Because I have a few words I would like to say to you. Welcome to your own show. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on the launch of the Anti-Communist Manifesto. Now, Jesse, I have to say, this is an incredible accomplishment because I didn't know that you could read, let alone write. You wrote an entire book, and it's not even a picture book. So this is a major milestone in all of history, frankly, in your development, and I just wanted to congratulate you. But seriously speaking, everybody who is watching, if you have not purchased this book, I need you to go buy this book right now. I mean, it not only is a great way to support Jesse and his work, but it is full of critical information to empower you. And as a financial expert, I say this is an excellent way to spend both your time and your money. So go get it now. And congrats again, my friend Jesse.
Carol, you are the best. I'm joining Carol now on her show. This is, of course, the great Carol Roth. I don't even think I have to introduce her anymore on this show. She has a new book out as well called You Will Own Nothing on those World Economic Forum scumbags who are trashing this planet. But, all right, Carol, I have obviously never written a book before. I don't know that I will ever write another one. I don't fancy myself a writer. I was just passionate about this subject, so I wrote it, happy with it, done with it. Carol, what's the best and worst thing about writing books? Because there are a lot of very smart people out there. You know, you don't have to have a big platform like Carol Roth. There are a lot of people who want to write something. They don't do it. It seems intimidating. What's the best and worst part of it?
So I think writing it is just getting that information out into the world and letting it empower other people, giving them the tools to be able to discuss topics with their friends that maybe they kind of understood, but didn't have all of the full information, didn't want to do all of the research, or maybe just didn't have the right words to kind of grasp around it. So it really is something that you do for yourself, but in service of other people. And I think that is the greatest part about it. The absolute worst part of it is promoting the book. I know you like to talk about yourself, Jesse, but I don't really like to talk about myself. And I don't like to talk about my things. I don't like to ask people for things. And so it really is hard, to go out and say, hey, could you, spare $30, especially when people are hurting with inflation, on this thing that I spend a ton of time on and I know is going to be valuable for you, but it still is that very uncomfortable ask. And I think people underestimate how incredibly difficult it is to get people to buy books. The greater majority of the books in this country, like almost 90% of them, sell something like 50 copies. It's really, really hard to get people to buy books. So if you have people that you like and you like their work, it's a great way to support them. But also if it's something that you want to try yourself, do it for the accomplishment and to put it out to whoever will listen to it, and don't worry about the sales.
That's so weird you don't like to talk about yourself, Carol, because I love talking about me. I'm my favorite subject, and I have no problem telling people to buy my book. I think you should skip, if it's necessary, you should skip several meals if that's what it takes in order to purchase the Anti-Communist Manifesto. But I want to focus on something really quickly, Carol. You are a recovering investment banker, as you like to put it. You are, of course, our financial expert on this show. Corporate America, this big shot financial sector, all the brainiac corporate America. Larry Fink, head of Blackrock, this little video has been dropping recently.
You have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. Behaviors across the entire firm in every region have to be similar. And every citizen of the firm has to understand what is acceptable behaviors and what are unacceptable.
Carol, forcing behaviors. Now, I would expect the head of a financial giant like BlackRock or State Street or Vanguard to be all about the dollars and cents. I would expect him to be some ruthless, heartless capitalist sitting there with his monocle in and his cigar on his private jet as he counts his money. But these people They don't sound like that to me, Carol. They sound like Berkeley Law professor communists. Why?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that in the case of Larry Fink and perhaps some of his comrades there, he's gotten to a level where he has so much wealth and so much power that it has given him somewhat, in my opinion, of a God complex. And so, that the next level up, like there isn't more money he can accumulate that sort of changes his standing. Now he has to say, if I have a philosophy, then I'm going to force that upon the world. And he has been very closely tied with the World Economic Forum. He's been saying things for quite some time. And in 2020, he had a shareholder letter where he basically said, we're going to be allocating capital. We are going to be voting with management teams and directors who do the things that we tell them they should do. Sustainability, ESG, all of these special buzzwords, which are basically cover for what I think is important and what I'd like to happen and my agenda along with the other global elite. And if you do not follow along, you will not get our dollars, which given the fact that he controls around 10 trillion under Blackrock in terms of assets under management and is the leading asset manager in the world. And that level of capital makes Blackrock and or Vanguard or State Street one of the top investors in basically every publicly traded company out there. This is a form of bullying at the highest degree. And it's horrendous because it's taking your and my money, retirees' money, pension fund money, and he is leveraging that to his gain. It is corporate social credit, it is corporate fascism, and it has absolutely nothing to do with capitalism.
I actually have a whole chapter on that in my book, and I know you've written about it too. But Carol, don't they look at the bottom line of Anheuser-Busch, right? Obviously, everyone knows about the Bud Light news. It's been all in the news. You're losing billions. Target's losing billions of dollars. Even some corporate communist piece of trash like Larry Fink, doesn't he wake up one day and look at the profit loss sheet and say to himself, okay, well, this isn't working anymore. We need to change direction. Why aren't they changing direction?
Because it's longer term visibility versus sort of short-term thinking. He's willing to forego what's happening in the short term to have the long-term, kind of power and shaping the world in the way that he wants to shape it. And from all of these CEOs who are making decisions that you go, why would they possibly make that decision? It's because they're frightened. They're frightened that they are going to lose their jobs. They are frightened that they are not going to get the shareholder votes. They're frightened that they're not going to get the capital allocation, just as we saw the entire financial services industry move away from oil and gas. They're worried that is going to happen to them. And so when you hear Larry Fink out there saying like this, he's basically signaling to them, it's okay to have sort of this up and down in the midterm because you have to go along with our program in the long term. And it is a complete shift in the way that capitalism works, in the way that Wall Street has worked in the past. And it is a frightening new development. And again, the most infuriating part is that they are using our own capital to be able to do this hostage taking.
Yes, what's the wildest thing? It's our own daggone money. Carol Roth, her book is You Will Own Nothing, and it is freaking fantastic. Thank you, ma'am.
The Anti-Communist Manifesto, a new must-read book from Jesse Kelly. Get your copy today at jessekellybook.com or wherever books are sold.